This theme is going to push you to think about blame. And if we actually have all the answers we need in any given situation or story, we're going to challenge that on the mat today. Come on and join me. Welcome to Gentle Restorative. My name is Sandra. Go ahead, take a comfortable seat and close your eyes. Give me a deep breath in. Super loud exhale. And just keeping the eyes closed, I want you to go within, notice, of course, what you're hanging on to that perhaps would be best outside of you. And then we'll take another deep inhale. And as you exhale, let whatever you thought of go. And then go ahead and take the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together. Exhale the hands home to the heart. Now, as we set our intention for this practice, I want you to add on something about being able to think of a situation or memory without attaching to the emotion. Okay? Go ahead, set your intention. When you're ready, release the hands. I know you're probably wondering, why did I set you up like that? But first, come on down onto your backs. You can have your blanket behind you for a pillow if you want to. And let's go ahead and hug the knees in. You might want to move around a little bit. We're just loosening up the low back, rock it out. And then instead of having the arms up on top of the shins, let's get the arms behind the thighs and let the legs just rest. Go ahead and move that around a little bit. Okay, so from here, hang on with those arms, lift the head and shoulders, and then you might be able to take the feet up toward the ceiling here. If that is not going to happen, don't worry about it. Wherever the legs will go is fine. If they're not going to go anywhere, that's fine. If the knees are super far away, that's all fine. We don't care about any of that, okay? So whatever this pose is for you, we're just decompressing the low back. Big inhale. Exhale, set the head down, soften the legs. Also, if your hands don't find each other behind your legs, you could grab behind the knees or you could use your strap. So I want you to be thinking outside the box for our practice. All right, go ahead, lift the head and shoulders. And again, you can lift the feet up if they'll go there. Keep breathing. We're not holding the breath here. Big inhale. Exhale, head down, feet back down, relax. We're going to do that one more time. All right, lift the head and shoulders. Lift the legs up, feet up, I mean. Give me a deep breath in. Exhale, head down. Release the legs, stretch them out on your mat. Perfect. Take the arms overhead. So allow yourself a fabulous stretch. And then we're taking this into that banana-shaped pose to the left. So legs are walking over to the left. Upper body will follow. And just close your eyes. So I want you to think about, when a memory pops into your head that you're not fond of. And often we can feel that somewhere in the body. Like it might be butterflies in the stomach, or it might be a knot in the stomach, or tension in the shoulders or the neck, wherever you feel it. What do you do next? Like, what is your coping skill to manage the stress that, I'm going to say it this way, don't throw anything at me, that you've invited in, right? I know full well when I get stressed out and my body's reacting, I have allowed myself to go there. And we don't really do it intentionally, but like I'm aware about what, from my instance, I am aware when I get super stressed out, I am going to react physically. I will get knots in my stomach. I, at an extreme, will break into an immediate sweat. And usually this is in regards to my children's health. It stresses me out greatly. But I also know on another level, I have control over that. Do I choose to control it? Do I choose to react? So I'm just asking you what your coping skill is. Our theme today is going to be about blame. And so that might conjure up something in your head. And I don't want you to attach to it emotionally. Let's just have the conversation and find a coping skill to release any feelings of anger or blame or whatever might come up for you. We don't need that on the mat, right? But we do need some coping skills, and we do need to talk about the subject of blame. So I left you in a banana-shaped pose to the left. And don't jump up and hit pause on the video. This is going to be a good conversation. Take the legs all the way over to the right, and then the upper body all the way over to the right. And in fact, you don't even have to think of a situation in your own head. I'm going to leave that up to you if you want to, if that helps, so that you have something to relate the following story to that I'm going to share with you. But I definitely don't like to invite negativity onto the yoga mat, so that's why I asked you to detach. All right. Give me a few more breaths right there. Then we're going to set up for a restorative pose, and then I will share a story to start off our theme. All right, let's take a deep breath. Let it go. Come back to center. Release the arms. Perfect. All right. We are going to sit back up so we can grab is the word I'm looking for. Grab some props. However you want to get yourself back into a seated position is good with me. Bolster. I'm going to prop up my bolster with a block at its medium height. My legs are going to go up here. You could take your strap underneath that bolster if you would like to. This will ensure that you don't have to work to hold your legs in place. You could loop your strap. Frankly, you could just tie a big bow around your thighs to keep them in place. You don't have a strap, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this. And then I do want you to have that blanket behind you for some type of pillow or neck roll. And we are just going to lay back and let go. Okay. So the scenario I'm about to present you with is from a video game called Shattered Memories. It's a psychology-based video game. And the story goes like this. Prince Wilhelm is passionately in love with Celestine, this princess. Unfortunately, she doesn't love him. So one day, Wilhelm goes to the king to ask for her hand in marriage. Now, Celestine begs her father not to grant it because she doesn't love Wilhelm. But the king ignores her pleas. And there's some royal protocol here that states that he has to say yes to the match. And so the two are married, and Celestine is taken back to Wilhelm's castle, his kingdom. So that night, before the marriage could be consummated. Celestine runs off, and she takes off running through a field, ignoring a sign that says danger warning. Well, in that field, there's a bull, and he sees this girl running across the field, and he charges, and he stamples her to death. I know, super cheery story, right? You were worried about whatever came to your mind. But here's what I want you to do. As you lie here in a comfortable restorative pose, I want you to think in your head, you've got 4 characters. You've got Wilhelm, Celestine, the king, and the bull. Who's the most guilty in this story? So I want you to rank them in your mind from who is the most guilty to the least. Okay, I hope I've given you enough time to think about who you think is the most guilty, all the way down to who is the least guilty or the most innocent, perhaps. And then can we get up onto our elbows here? Because if you did use the strap, I want you to have access to release it. If you don't have the strap around your legs, then you can very easily set your feet back down on the mat. I'll give you a second in case you did use the strap. Those of you waiting, let's just draw the chin down toward the collarbone. Inhale, lift the chin away a few inches. I'm not dropping my head back, I'm just lifting it. Exhale, chin down, and we'll just keep doing this for a moment. We're waiting for our friends to catch up who need to get unbound. One more time with the head. And then let's go ahead and come all the way back up so we can set our props off the mat. Perfect. Let's come on over into table. So you have your order in your head. How sure are you of that order? In other words, I'm making an assumption that not all of you have the same order. How could that possibly be? Find your cat-cow. So I'm guessing some of you out there said the most guilty party was Wilhelm, because why on earth, should he demand to marry someone who doesn't love him, right? Go ahead, come back to table, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. And then I'm guessing some of you might have said the king, because he should have been more loyal to his daughter than to the kingdom, to the rules that had been set. Nice. Go ahead, bring the knees back down. We're going to take that right foot out in front of us. Perfect. I'm pivoting on the left knee so the foot comes behind me, and then I'm just going to come up. So you'll end up sideways, right? Your TV screen or computer screen is probably over here to your right. It's okay. Set that right forearm down on the right thigh. Inhale that left arm up, and let's just take it overhead and hold right here. Okay, some of you might have said the guiltiest party here is the bull, because he's actually the creature that killed the princess. What about the princess? Does she have any guilt in this at all? Perhaps. Give me another breath here. Okay, I'm going to release that left arm. I'm going to let it swing behind my low back. Now, I want you to look down at the space inside of that front foot, and let's gauge how far away we feel it is. Can we get the right hand down there? If we cannot, grab a block, use that instead, a book. I'm looking around. What else could one grab to hold you up? I see some weights over there. Look around your space if you don't have any props. Okay, now I want to take that left arm back up. And let's just reach here. Lengthen through the left side. Stretch out through the crown of the head. And then take that left arm overhead. Watch that front shoulder, right? We always like it open. And then take the arm behind the low back. Take the arm up and over. Let's take the gaze upwards. Exhale, arm comes down behind your back. Drop your gaze. Give me 2 more. So I think where the topic of blame leading into forgiveness gets a little sketchy is sometimes what someone might have done to us or what we perceive they've done to us is so much worse than other instances we can think of, right? You have little, how do I say this? Someone might have hurt your feelings versus someone did something really god awful to you. And those far end god awful stories are where I take no part in telling someone how great forgiveness is. I can't walk in those shoes, right? We each have our own stories. So we take these themes with, I guess, a grain of salt. You take what resonates with you. You forgive and let go of the issues in your life that you can without having self-judgment towards the things that we feel we're not ready to do so. Does that make sense? And remember, this is not a theme about forgiveness, but when I think about blame, that's what I also think of. And so let's remember that forgiveness doesn't mean we forgive the person. Like, we don't forgive the person and the act. We're allowing ourselves to breathe in peace. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So where I want to go here is, you can still use the block if you want to. For me, I need to just get a little bit lower. We're going to take that left arm up again, straight up to the ceiling. This time, let it reach behind you. So how much can we open up here? Deepen the breath. Do not strain the top shoulder. Perfect. Okay, so as the left arm comes down, I'm bringing it down to the ground kind of in front of my left knee. So you're still facing sideways. That means my upper body is rotating towards the long edge of my mat, right? Take the right arm up. This should feel pretty good here now. Now we can let that right arm drop behind us a bit. Deepen the breath. And then slowly release that right arm. Draw the right knee in, turn back to the front of your mat, and let's find embryo. Okay, so here's the catch with this story. And I want you to think about this in your world. Like, maybe you did think of someone you're kind of mad at, and let's stick with the easy to work with situations, please. The problem with this story is information is missing. I gave you a story, but there are a lot of questions there, aren't there? So we could easily go, well, the king is definitely at fault. His daughter said she didn't love this guy, and he said, the rules are you have to marry him, so you're marrying him, right? So we could definitely be on board with it's the king. Okay, but what we don't know is what are the repercussions of him not following protocol? Now, your mind might jump to, it doesn't matter, that's his daughter. Okay. What if, let's think of something extreme. What if the consequence is immediate war between his kingdom and the kingdom of the suitor? And now we're talking about maybe thousands of innocent people could die if he doesn't go along with the marriage. Does that make a difference in your mind? While you think about that, come on up into table. I'm going to turn this way. Let's get that left foot out in front of us. And then remember, we're pivoting on the right knee. So take the foot behind you. Come on up. So you are again facing along edge of your mat. Left elbow or forearm to the left thigh. Take that right arm up and over. We're holding it right here. Okay, so what else is missing from this story? Suppose you go, well, Wilhelm should not marry a woman who says she doesn't love him. Where in the story did it say she told Wilhelm? She told her father. He might not have any clue. So we don't know if him having that information would have made him retract his offer or not, right? We're thinking about that, right? Okay. Drop that right arm down behind your low back. Inhale that arm up and over. Take the gaze up. Exhale, arm comes down behind the back. Drop your gaze. Give me a few more. All right, when that arm drops down, let's just hold it there. Look at that space inside the left foot. Do you need a prop there? We're going to bring our hand down to the earth or to your prop. And then we're going to take that right arm straight up. And then you can see if that arm can pull behind you at all. Deepen the breath. So what about the bull? Can the bull be guilty? Is he guilty? I mean, he is the one that actually killed the princess. But what if we look at it from a bull's just doing what a bull does? He doesn't have intentions of that occurring. He doesn't probably even know what he's doing. He sees something running and it's his response and reaction to chase. Isn't that interesting? He doesn't know necessarily what he's doing. Okay, that right arm's coming down. Remember, it's coming down in front of the right knee so that the upper body can come more toward that long edge of the mat. And then go ahead and take that left arm up. And again, you can see if that arm wants to open up behind you at all. Big inhale. Exhale, bring that arm down, pull the knee in, and find embryo on your mat. Okay, what about Celestine the princess? Well, all right, you could say she's guilty because she went ahead with the marriage, maybe. You might have her as the most innocent, right? She was forced into a situation. She ran off in the middle of the night, passed a warning sign. But here's what's not in the story. I said she ran past the warning sign. I didn't say she didn't read it. So what if she actually read the sign and chose to continue through that field? What if she knew there was a bull in that field? What if she knew what would happen next? Does that now make her the most guilty? There's lots to think about in this restorative, peaceful yoga class. So really what this theme is about is considering what information that you do not have about a situation. You know, often we're quick to judgment. I can speculate right now why my dogs are running around upstairs barking. I don't actually know. So information is omitted, right? So when you think about, oh gosh, the people and situations in your life where you might be angered, frustrated, you feel a victim to their action, you are directing blame. I'm not saying that you are not valid in all of that. I'm just using this example to present to you a theme about perspective, right? Perspective. Okay, come on up into table. Because don't you think if asked, each of those 4 characters would tell you they're the most innocent? Go ahead, fine cow. Hold it here for a breath. Now, go ahead and start to walk the hands forward. The hips are going to stay above the knees. So we're coming into puppy. You have a lot of options here. You can either bring the forehead to the mat. You can put a prop underneath your forehead to support the head if the mat's too far away. Or you can bring your chin down to the mat. Be careful with the neck here. So I kind of think this theme is easier to think about in relationship to other people, not our own personal stories, right? Because, yeah, we could be mad at Aunt so-and-so, and we actually could pause for a moment hearing this theme and go, all right, let me put myself in her shoes. And we think of a perspective we hadn't thought of before, but maybe that still doesn't resonate with us in releasing whatever we're harboring. So, if it's easier or more helpful to just kind of think about this idea in relation to somebody else's story, I think that's okay right now. Yeah. None of the characters in that story were trying to cause a death. They each have perspectives, viewpoints, and opinions that weren't even in the story. So we lacked a lot of information. And so I guess what I'm asking you to think about is, for someone who's caused us harm, they might not necessarily have been aware they were doing so. Please don't pick your most intense situation to bring to mind, remember, and stay emotionally detached. Perhaps it might be easier to think about this. When is a time you know you hurt somebody's feelings? Did you intend to? And would you have done the same action or said the same thing if you had other information about the situation? So again, we look at this from all angles, that just in a blanket statement, we never have all the information. And each one of us has our own perspective. And each one of us probably thinks we're in the right. Okay, I've left you in puppy for quite a while. Let's go ahead and walk our way out of that pose and then get the legs out from underneath you so you can sit back down. Get the feet planted, knees bent, arms are behind you, and we're going to take that right foot up on top of the left thigh. We're coming into our seated pigeon. So figure out where you need to be for this pose. Good stretch, not painful. If you want to bring the foot in closer, you can. If you want to bring the hands in closer, you can. But I want you just to be in a happy space. Close your eyes, take a deep inhale, and let it go. Stormy Martian wrote, "Forgiveness doesn't make the other person right. It makes you free." And we know that. We know that, right? I still think that doesn't necessarily mean we're ready to forgive and let go. I think that's okay too. I just kind of like the idea of acknowledging and being aware that we recognize that. And if we're still not able to go there, I think that is a fabulous inner acknowledgement, don't you? Okay, I'm going to take that right leg, stretch it out in front of me. I'm pulling that left foot in a little closer, if that's okay with my body, and then sitting up straight. Go ahead and hook that right elbow around the left knee, left hand behind you. Make sure that front foot is flexed. Sit up tall and take that twist to the left. Okay, when you get to an exhale, we're releasing the twist. Bring that right hand behind you again, and let's replant the feet so we can come into our seated pigeon with the left leg on top. And again, set this up how it's best for you. We're going to close our eyes. So just out of curiosity and playing along with my little game here, with all that other added speculation, would you still list the people in the order you did? Or are you now having some trouble figuring out who's the guiltiest? Are you having trouble figuring out, gosh, is there actually somebody here to blame? Or is it kind of a mixture of something from each one of them? Does that make sense? Okay, we're going to straighten out that left leg, pull the right foot in, sit up, hook the right knee with the left elbow, sit up tall, flex that front foot, and take the twist to the right when you're ready. Deep inhale, exhale, release the twist. Okay, straighten out both legs, sit up nice and tall, flex both feet. Plant the hands, palms down right by the hips for staff pose, Dandasana. Now close your eyes. Okay, this pose, if you saw it in a book, right, it looks pretty easy. Let's test that theory, shall we? Keep the feet flexed. The backs of the thighs gently pushing down toward the ground. You're not locking the knees. You are sitting up tall. Keep breathing. Now, if we were live in class together, I'd say you let me know when this pose no longer falls under the word easy. But I want you to start to notice things you're sensing, you're feeling, what's changing. I mean, maybe this pose would be easier if we were allowed to relax the feet, right? But by keeping them flexed, we're working the muscles up the backs of the legs. Can you feel that yet? Are your legs shaking? Is it hard for you to maintain the length in the spine? Do you want to slouch? Do you want to hinge forward so you don't have to sit up tall? What is going on? Are you still happy with me about this pose? So in just picturing this pose in our mind's eye or seeing it in a book or online, our mind jumps to, I can do that. That looks easy. The longer we hold it, the more perspective we get. Keep going. And the more information we are gleaning, right? I didn't think about how hard it was going to be to keep my feet flexed this entire time. I didn't think about ... right? So the theme is about gathering information and at least recognizing that we don't have it if we don't. And it's about perspective. And it's really just about being receptive. It never was intended to be a theme about forgiveness, so I'm not going there. It was intended to be about receptivity, really, being open to what we don't know. You having fun here? I mean, I can feel this. Can you? All right, we're staying for another couple breaths. I just want to make sure my point gets across. So if you aren't feeling anything, you can try this again after Shavasana and see how long you can hold it before you find this not to be so easy. Who knew? Staff pose, right? Inhale, take the arms up. Bring the palms together. Keep flexing those feet. Hands to the heart. Push the legs in towards each other. Come on, let's intensify this a little bit more. Push, 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 push. Toes are pulling back towards you. You're sitting up nice and tall. Where do you feel this? Take your focus to the breath. The breath is a great coping tool. Keep flexing. Come on, spread the toes wide. All right, big inhale. Exhale, let everything go. I feel like I want to pull my legs into you. Go ahead and pull them in. Let's just come into a fold right over the legs. However that looks for you, and let go. Okay, come on back up. Grab your blocks. Get your pillow / neck roll behind you, whatever you prefer. We're coming into Supta Baddha Konasana, supine cobbler. So soles of the feet together, knees are wide, they're resting on something, whatever you have nearby. I like to push my head into my prop or the floor, lift my shoulders and slide the shoulder blades down when I settle into poses like this. And then I kind of work my way down the spine because I also want to feel the low back release. And then when you're comfortable, close your eyes. Palms are open, right? Because we've been talking about being receptive. And this is a gesture, being receptive. So as I kind of rethink the story I told you, it was kind of going through my head again, right? Wilhelm wants to marry Celestine. She doesn't love him. She tells the king. He says it's protocol. You have to get married. They get married. She runs away on the first night, runs past a warning sign into a field. There's a bull. She dies. So I said it a little bit more succinctly there. Maybe one thing we should get from this story is asking questions. What if we were to ask a whole lot of questions before we came to a conclusion, right? Like I told you, rank them in order, guilty to innocent. If you were here with me, would you have just done that? Or would you have been like, wait a minute, I have some questions, right? And so how could we remember to ask questions in our everyday world before we give an answer, before we think of the answer? Well, I'm afraid that part might not happen, right? Thoughts usually come into our head first, but can we not say them? Can we stop and go, what should I be asking here? What am I missing? What could I be missing? All right, so I want you to think about that for a moment. What's a question you would like to ask about something going on in your world? To whom would you ask it? And how would that answer help you? And then let's take the focus to the breath. We are letting all that conversation go. And remember, I asked you, what are your coping skills? The breath needs to be one. So as we focus on the breath, I want you to visualize it just going up the spine and back down. And then it goes up the spine and back down. That's it. Keep following it. And it certainly does not have to get any fancier than that. If it helps, you could imagine that the breath moving up and down is pushing stressors, worries, stuff away and out of you. That's up to you. We're going to stay here with the breath for a few more moments. If your legs, your hips or knees are tired of holding Baddha Konasana, you can go ahead and straighten them out. So if you still have your legs in cobbler, let's go ahead and pull the knees up towards each other. Just kind of reset the hips, and we'll hang out here for a moment. And then let's hug the right knee in. Straighten the right leg up to the ceiling. We're keeping that left knee bent, foot on the mat. Flex the right foot. So gently, let's just take that right leg to the left a little bit, and then all the way over to the right. So I'm not going down to the floor. This is really, I think I'm going about, looks like about a foot to the left, maybe, I don't know, a foot to the right. And you might notice you feel like the left leg is moving to counterbalance. I can feel that, but I'm working to keep the leg exactly where it is. So the knee is still staying up towards the ceiling. Does that make sense? So take your gaze to that left leg. Let's keep it where it is. I don't mind the feeling of counterbalance, but let's not let the leg open up and cross over to do that. Okay, bring the right leg back to center, hug it in, and set that foot down on the mat. We are hugging the left foot in. Take that leg up to the ceiling, flex the foot, hold it right here. And then again, take your gaze to the right leg. I just think it's easier if you can watch and make sure that leg is staying there. Take the left leg to the right, and then back through center to the left. Keep going. making the movement with your breath. And then we'll bring that left leg back to center, hug it in, and set that foot down. Fabulous. Okay, can you get rid of whatever prop you have behind your head? We're setting the alignment for bridge. Get those shoulder blades down and under, low back down. When you're ready, just float the hips on up. We're going to hold right here. You might want to wiggle the shoulder blades under just a tad. Deepen the breath. Knees are hip distance apart, so are the feet. On your next exhale, let's bring the hips back down. Relax. Inhale, lift the hips. Stay right here, keep breathing. Take your focus to the breath. Gently release on an exhale. Now pause here. I can feel my blocks are right next to me from where I had them for cobbler. If you have a block nearby, grab it. If you're not sure where yours ended up, take a moment, look around, find something. And then we're coming into supported bridge, so you'll lift the hips, decide what height you want your prop, and just settle your weight on top. Close your eyes. So how can we be open, receptive, and questioning in our yoga practice, right? Are you paying attention to the sensations in each pose? You know, if you feel something different that you haven't felt before, are you asking why? Are you waiting for the answer? So let's take bridge in the exact pose that you're in its supported variation. Are you thoroughly content here? Go ahead, ask yourself that. Okay. For those of you who said yes, I want you to delve into the question of, could I be more content? Like, what could you do or add or change to make that even juicier, better, that Sanskrit word rasa? For those of you who said no, what do you need to happen in this pose for it to be better? Now I'm curious, for those of you who said no and then came up with an answer of how this pose could be better, did you do that? Whatever answer you came up with, did you make the change? And if you didn't, I'm kind of curious, why not? Boy, I wish I could hear your answers. And you know, I think there's a fairness to all answers except for the one because you told me to be in this pose, right? That is never a fair answer on the yoga mat. You have to practice ahimsa and do what's right for you. Remember, I'm like your coach. I'm giving you some suggestions, but you know best. So hopefully by now, as I've just rambled for a few, you have made those changes and all of you are completely happy. That doesn't even mean you're still in bridge, does it? All right, give me a deep breath in. Big exhale. Next inhale, lift the hips. Slide the block out from underneath you. Exhale, hips come back down, knees to the heart. And then go ahead and roll to a side in a fetal position. I want to reset our intention. See, initially I was thinking about this story and just not wanting it to bring up so much for you that you didn't want to deal with on the mat. That wasn't my intention at all. So I think I want to change the intention. Go ahead and come on up. Let's find a seated pose. Close your eyes. Inhale the arms up. Bring the palms together, release them to the heart. And can we set an intention that maybe what we take from this theme for the rest of the day or for tomorrow or whatever is to think about asking questions. I could just hear my grandfather in my head going, yes, I told you to always be curious. The more questions we ask, the more information we gather, the better prepared we are to make a decision. On the mat and off. Go ahead, release the arms. Inhale them both up. Exhale to the heart again. Release the hands beside you, all the way to the ground, palms open. I want you to visualize white light in both palms. Maybe it's just like a glowing ball. It's cleansing, healing, loving. Now, can you see the glow coming off of each hand, each of those energy balls? Right. You know how in the dark, when you move a glow stick really fast, you can see its trail of light? That's what I want you to picture. As you inhale, take the arms up, trail of that white light spilling around you. Exhale to the heart. Release the hands back down where we started. Keep going. Inhale them up. You are creating this beautiful, healing white space around you. Release the arms. Keep going. Slow this down. Make it more thoughtful. What are you feeling? Last one. Hands will end up at your heart. Go ahead and interlace the fingers. Turn the palms in my direction. Round out the spine, drop the head. As you sit up tall, take the palms up to the ceiling. Big inhale. Exhale the arms back down. Close your eyes. Go back to following the breath up and down the spine. When you get to your next exhale, let that all go. Just be. And stay right there as I share this quote with you from Marianne Williamson. She wrote, "Forgiveness does not mean that we suppress anger. Forgiveness means that we have asked for a miracle, the ability to see through mistakes that someone has made, to the truth that lies in all of our hearts. Forgiveness is not always easy. At times, it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive the one that inflicted it. And yet, there's no peace without forgiveness. Attack thoughts towards others or attack thoughts towards ourselves. The first step in forgiveness is the willingness to forgive. Now, remember that I said this is not a theme about forgiveness, but I wanted to get to that last sentence. The first step in forgiveness is the willingness to forgive. I think the first step is acknowledging if we're even in that space, if we're ready. I mean, just in that acknowledgement, we know there's something there, and we know what it's doing. We know how it feels. And it goes back to this question of, do we have all the information we need? Regardless of how you take this theme, if you think it's about blame, you think it's about being a victim, you think it's about forgiveness, you think it's about holding anger, I think it all comes down into a hyphenated word. I was going to say one word, a hyphenated word of not inviting in self-judgment. Take a deep breath. Let it go. And guess what? It's time for Shavasana. So go ahead and set up your space. Grab everything and anything that makes you happy. And then question where you end up. Make sure that your answer is yes. This Shavasana is perfect. Every part of my body feels supported. Every part of my body feels acknowledged, relaxed, peaceful, and happy. And if you're not getting that in your head, what can you do to change it up? All right. I'm assuming you're getting there. Once you're there, close your eyes. Do a body scan. Make sure you're happy and content. And I do think that sometimes our body speaks to us in such ways that you might think, well, I could be in any position and I'm not going to be comfortable right now. Let's just say it's like a knee. In that situation, can you take that ball of light that we envisioned earlier and send it to that knee, send it to that hip, send it to wherever it needs to go? Because again, I keep coming back to this idea of acknowledgement, and I think that's the key to a lot of answers. All right, I'm going to finally shut up. I'm going to see you on the other side of Shavasana. You'll know when to come back when you hear my voice. Taking your focus back to your breath and allowing that breath to deepen. You're breathing in peace. You're breathing in curiosity. And you're breathing in light. Allow some movement to come back into the body. And then gift yourself permission to stay exactly where you are. Take a big inhale, stretch the arms overhead, bring the palms together, and then exhale them to your heart. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me, and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.